Support WrestleTalk!
Donate on Patreon.
Hello and welcome to WrestleRamble. This is Luke Owen, I'm Ollie Davis, and oh boy, do we have a treat in store for you today. It is a fantasy booking warfare episode, and our subject is Pete Dunne's main roster debut, first feud, whatever you want to call it. Now, the reason this is so special is because up until this point in the WrestleRamble war, I am 4-0 up. This is the last event of the month. Luke hasn't won anything. I have won the first fantasy booking, the Raw vs SmackDown, the Survivor Series predictions, and NXT TakeOver. 4-0. It's all over and done with, right? Luke's going to do the spicy challenge in December. Not so fast there, Swaff Nation, because I am so confident in my concept for the fantasy booking warfare, I'm going to put it all on the line. It is winner takes all. If this was a WWE pay-per-view, we would say winner takes all WrestleRamble every time we said WrestleRamble. It's hashtag all in. How you feeling?
Not confident.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's immediately not with the fighting talk.
Oh, sorry. Just so confident, man.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know what's about to hit you with the ideas that are coming out of my mind, and you are going to taste the taste of defeat and the hotness of the spice.
Sorry, the crap gimmick promo was last month?
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Swish.
Nailed
good
it.
Start.
Sorry,
So
I'm distracted by Lemsip.
So, of course, this could be my downfall. I could have gone and cocky. This is the classic cocky heel narrative. Overconfident, and then you sweep in at the end. But I'm pretty confident, though. Shall we get right in to my pitch? Coincidentally, because the winner always goes first the next time we do Fantasy Booking Warfare, it's sort of worked out in a match psychology way where I'm the heel and I'm beating you down, I'm giving you the shine. That's what's going to happen throughout this pitch. And hopefully the babyface can make a comeback at the end.
Well, we'll see what happens, because you have been very confident about this pitch. Not only are you putting everything on the line, you're going all or nothing, but you have been talking this thing up all day long. And in fact, you were talking this up all day yesterday as well, whereas I wrote mine conservatively 15 minutes before we came in here. That's not an excuse on my part. If anything, that is actually, I've had a week to prepare this and I haven't spent any time on it.
I just feel like my fantasy booking warfare game hasn't been amazing for about 2 months, and I feel like I'm back with this one. Anyway, settle down, drink your Lemsip, because here we go. Okay, the one proviso for this is Pete Dunne is not the UK champion.
Okay.
It just gets muddled. It's awkward if he comes up. So that's the only proviso. Okay, so week one. It's just a week of Raw. And, you have the usual opening. It's the first match, after the first match of Raw. And Michael Cole, that cuts to the announcers at ringside and goes in a sort of sports presentation, a sort of sports news way, that he says, throughout the day, there's been some interesting developments around WWE and backstage. Here's a look at it. Cut to the video package. And it's those WWE.com network exclusives that they put up on the network and the website and YouTube, where it's like Mike Rome, is that his name?
Mike Rowe?
Yeah, whatever his name is. He's like trying to chase cars and stuff, and it's a video package showing one car, and who gets out of it? It's NXT commissioner William Regal. They'd heard that he'd be coming down to Raw that day. That's why the interview team were out there. They try and get a comment from Regal as he gets out the car he's in with a briefcase, and he says, no comment. I can't do a good William Regal impression. He says he's got a meeting. Then, like the next clip, all in this montage, turns out that meeting is with Kurt Angle. So this is like Mike Rome saying, we have now learnt that William Regal's meeting is with Kurt. And then it goes back to not ringside, but where the announcers are live and Raw. All that stuff was previous in the day. And Cole says, we actually have Renee Young standing by outside Kurt Angle's office to find out what this could mean. Cuts to Renee backstage. Sort of like we have a thing over here called Transfer Deadline Day in football, where all of Sky Sports News weirdly all wear yellow and just stand around talking and speculating about the transfers. So you've got kind of this kind of feel, like something big's happening. And Renee says the obvious speculation right now, although we don't know anything much, if anything at all, is that they're discussing a talent signing. William Regal is the general manager or commissioner or whatever of NXT, the developmental territory. So this seems like Raw is going to acquire a new star. Who or what, we don't know. Then it goes, throughout this episode, it goes back to Kurt Angle's office. And the door's shut, you can't see anything. Maybe there's a little window bit with the blinds, and you can sort of see some animated figures in there. And they're just like, still waiting for an update, haven't heard anything. One time they go back there's some yelling from inside the room. It seems like things are getting heated. And then like another one later on, William Regal has exited, but he's coming back, and Renee Young tries to get a word out of him, and Regal's like, I can't talk to you about ongoing negotiations. Was that any better?
It was okay.
So
better than your previous one.
That's all been going on for the show. Now, at the end of the show, after the main event, whatever it is, it's not important. Cole throws to the backstage area urgently. There's been a big update, and Renee Young standing there with her microphone says, "Yep, they're just finishing up now. Hopefully, we can find out who this speculated signing is." Regal and Kurt walk out of the office, all smiles. For the cameras, they know the camera's going to be there, and they shake hands and they, big smiles. Kurt's got his big goofy one. William Regal's smiling, and Regal tells Renee that Kurt's just made one hell of a signing, laddo, and he's shaking his hand. But then his smile just suddenly drops and disappears, and he looks at Kurt and goes, "They're your problem now," and walks off. Kurt now looks worried. He's got these documents. He's like, what's gone on there? And Renee says, well, we all want to know, Kurt, who's the latest member of Raw? And Angle goes, member? You mean members? I just signed Pete Dunne, Trent Seven, and Tyler Bate. I just signed British Strong Style. And that's it. That's the cold end to the show. I know, the vast majority of viewers are not going to know who that is. So the secret's in the intrigue. But Kurt has to sell this like he's looking apprehensive. He was super into this idea, and it seems like he's been swindled, made a deal with the devil with Regal, now he's regretting it. Next week's Raw. So Raw's been going on for a bit, and then Cole says, now last week, of course, there was the breaking news backstage that Kurt Angle had signed Pete Dunne, Trent Seven, and Tyler Bate to Raw. Now, this new latest WWE documentary series is here to explain their background and answer the question that everyone's asking. Who are British Strong Style? And then it cuts to a 3-4 minute promo package of Pete Dunne. The first one is of Seven. Now, I'm just going to give you some presentation and characterization notes here, because this is really the key of this act getting over. They have to look cool and unique, and they dress how they do in their Progress interpretation, and that's like as Peaky Blinders, 1930s London East End gangsters. So smart, but also look rough, the braces and the, I come in, and a bit like Guy Ritchie Snatch stuff, but not as cartoony. Now, here's the key. They're not a heel or a babyface faction. They're just three guys with differing personalities who are lifelong friends and accept each other for who they are. So sort of like the NWO. The idea that, the original premise of the NWO, as Luke said before, is that they weren't meant to be anything like wrestling, and Kevin Nash and Scott Hall were just going to talk like normal people. But then Hulk Hogan started cutting the first promo like old-fashioned Hulk Hogan, brother. And they were like, no, this isn't what it was meant to be. So this is kind of that thinking. And the three different personalities are Pete Dunne, who's sort of the leader. He is a psychotic heel, like the sort of unhinged mob boss. I'm trying to think of not Al Capone, Lucky Luciano, if you know who that is, sort of like the intelligent mobster boss. But I mean, this is Italian. It should be East End. But who's also crazy and unhinged, but wickedly intelligent and very dangerous. Bricktop, a little bit like him. The leader of the group, but he never speaks. But he's very obviously the leader just by the way he carries himself. Trent Seven is the group's mouthpiece. He is supremely cool. Like, compared to this psychotic heel, Trent Seven's like, I want to have a beer with that guy. Like, and he is so cool. If you don't know much about Trent Seven, he just walks around like the coolest mofo I've ever seen. He's always like got this slight smile. He's got a big moustache and beard. Looks really friendly, but he could definitely kick your ass. He's portrayed as the cool baby face. So he's a baby face, but he doesn't care. Really flippant and casual about everything. A lot of shrugs, a lot of smirks around. Bit like Kevin Nash, but when he's in that sort of mood. And Tyler Bate, his characterization is mute, so he doesn't speak. He's just like the expressionless, deadpan fighter guy who's the young boy of the group. They've sort of taken him under their wing to train him up, but he's like freakish strength, really, really good. He's the muscle of the group, weirdly, as he's the smallest and most boyish looking. Pete Dunne's the psychotic heel mastermind, and Trent Seven is the sort of like mouth wide boy. So, these promo things, Michael Cole introduces the WWE documentary series. The first one is so it's going to be 3. The first one is on Trent Seven, and it's all filmed in black and white. And it's like, have you ever seen a Shane Meadows film? So, now I can't remember a single...
Dead Man's Shoes.
Dead Man's Shoes. This is England. So that's sort of grim up north in England. I don't know how well this is going to translate to the United States, but sort of like you think cobbled streets, cozy pubs, bare-knuckle boxing in smoky, dingy barns and sheds and stuff. That's the kind of feel, like, and you have interviews with family and friends, and it's all in this northern accent of England. The North is grim vibe. And the first is on Seven, who is the mouthpiece, so he can narrate it himself, most of it, like, he can talk back and forth, and he can tell the story of British Strong Style, where they grew up, how they trained together. He sort of introduces the other guys' characters. That's important because they can't speak for themselves, really, in these characters. How they go to illegal boxing fights, but a shot of in the bare knuckle illegal boxing fights, and they're just like sitting in the corner, owning the place. A lot of really cool slow-mo shots of Seven, Bate, and Dunne just walking around in their suits, looking freaking awesome, because that's the selling point. They are Bullet Club levels of cool. Next week, the same thing happens. The latest in our WWE documentary series, explaining Tyler Bate, and it focuses on how Pete Dunne and Trent Seven took him under their wings, and how like Bate's family and friends, or the people who know him, he's always training in the boxing gym. But he doesn't really have any family or friends, so it's kind of like apart from Dunne and Seven, so it's kind of like from, I don't know, the guy who makes the chippies, like the local takeaway, like they talk about him, and the local pub, the barman. So no real friends or family. Like Bates is kind of wanderer, but he's found a place here. And then the final week of the documentary series, the third one, is Pete Dunne, and of course, Dunne doesn't speak. He doesn't need to. So friends and family talk about how he's the toughest and the smartest guy they've ever met. Like, he's dangerous, but they all really like him. It has an interview with an ex-detective inspector, would be a position in our police force over here, and so like, we've suspected him for years of this crime, running illegal boxing rackets, betting. So you're getting like a real mobster vibe from Pete Dunne. Violence in the town, but it goes to his mum, and his mum's or an actress I don't know anything about Pete Dunne's actual mum, but she says he's the best son in the world. It's sort of like this. You're building up a real East End, but it's of the North, sort of grimy crime family, and they've all fallen in with each other. Now, after that final video package, Cole announces, after those weeks of inductions, next week they'll finally be having their first match. And a little graphic, next week, British Strong Style. So, following week on Raw, debut match, we have some jobbers already standing in the ring. Now, they are not named people. They aren't a member of the WWE roster, so you already know these guys are losing. But that's not to say they're like James Ellsworth. They're actually all really big, physically imposing, well-conditioned. One of them is enormous. Just got to find like a massive guy. So they're already standing in the ring. They don't get an entrance. And then it comes back, and it's British Strong Style. It's their entrance. really cool music. You've got to give them like the coolest music that fits their characters. I don't know what that is, but they all walk out really nonchalantly in their ring gear, but sort of with, their jackets and their sort of British mobster coats on. And it's built up as their first match. The announcer's about to introduce them, but Seven grows the mic and just chucks it to the side. Because he doesn't use the microphone most of the time. That's too pro wrestling. That the idea is for the camera to get close enough to hear Seven talking to people. And Seven's like, come on, mate. No, get out of the ring, mate. Because they're legit. So he intimidates the referee out the ring, then looks at the jobbers, and he sizes each one of them up, Trent Seven, and he goes, you. And he points at the biggest one of the three. And the biggest one walks over into the middle of the ring, along, face to face with Seven. But actually, this jobber's so big, Seven's looking up at him. He's bigger than Seven. The crowd, just by seeing two massive guys in the ring, are already starting to swell in their support. They're going to, this looks awesome. I'm ready for a fight here. They square off. But then Seven takes a few steps back, all relaxed. He's always supremely relaxed and cool. And turns a bit and goes, go on, Tyler, mate. And Tyler Bate steps up, looking a little bit preppy and just sort of stretching up a little bit, a few squats. He steps forward. He is so much shorter than this guy. This jobber guy, this enormous guy. And everyone's like, the crowd's like, what the hell's going on here now? They're really getting into this dynamic. And Dunne and Seven aren't outside the ring. They're just standing in the corner, in the ring, in the corner of the ring, not in the apron, inside the ring. Because they're not like most teams. They don't do things in the usual copy and paste way. Now, Tyler Bate just raises one fist in the air like this. I don't know how much sweat I've got under my pits, so I'm just going to do this. But he would extend it all the way to the top. And everyone's looking at it. The jobber's looking at it. The announcer's going, don't know what's going on here. Is this a taunt thing? And then out of nowhere, boof, with the other one, the sucker punch, which is a move that Tyler Bate does. And it floors the huge jobber. And the huge jobber just falls to the ground, cold. Back, eyes up. And he is not moving. He's not selling it. He is just down, eyes shut now. And then Tyler sort of turns around and just casually walks back to the corner like it was nothing. Maybe does a few squats. Dunne's looking mean. Seven's just chuckling, going, look at that big fat, fall down. Now, Trent walks back to the middle of the ring and tries to push the jobber away with his foot, but the jobber's too big and he's dead weight now because he's knocked out. So he tells, go on, ref, mate, get in there. And the refs try and roll this guy. He's so big, though. Try and roll this guy out the ring, but they can only get him to the corner. So he's just still in the corner for the rest of this. So you imagine that there, this huge carcass that's already been felled is in the ring still. So Seven gets the next guy into the ring, who's still a jobber. We all know what's going to go down. But the jobber looks really physically impressive too, like he's ripped. And Seven's like, he invites a free shot. Come on, let's see how hard you are, mate. Because Seven can, he's the mouthpiece, he can talk. And the jobber gives him a chop across the chest, really loud. Trent just looks at him, does not sell it, does not step back one iota, shakes his head, disappointed, and then goes and delivers one of those down chops where you strike down rather than across, and it is so like a thud, like a thick thud, not a high-pitched slap like you get from chops, but a thud, and it just knocks the jobber straight down onto the floor. And Seven looks back at the rest of British Strong Style and just gives them a shrug, little cheeky smile. Dunne's still looking mean, Bates looking like deadpan, bemused. And then the jobber gets up, he tries it again, little chop, massive chop down. So the same thing's happened. Now the jobber gets up and he's angry. He looks at Trent, gives him a slap in the face, really hard slap. Everyone goes, ooh, big chant from the crowd. Seven says, now that's more bloody like it. Still no selling everything, and then destroys him with a load of punches and then a spinning forearm. And it takes out this second jobber. As soon as the second jobber falls down near the ropes after that forearm, Dunne sprints forward and just goes for the last jobber. The last jobber didn't he was watching what was going on in the other bit and just dismantles him, bites bits of his body, joint manipulation, and he breaks every single one of the jobber's fingers while the refs are trying to pull him off. And the commentators are putting over like, this is disgusting. This guy, he's got a wife and kids to support. This isn't his full-time job or whatever. Maybe you don't say that. That's sort of, it buries it a bit. But, it's sickening. Pete Dunne has destroyed this guy's hand. He can't go off and do another job. And after that, British Strong Style, just get up and walk out. Maybe Dunne does that to a fan at ringside, just to sort of scare him. And Trent's laughing. It's all good. Next week is a tag match. So you've got this, again, a jobber, but impressive jobbers, just not named in the ring. And British Strong Style come out. Ref's just about to start the match. And Seven says, come on, mate. No, we don't do things like that. Get out of here. And then Bate and Seven easily squash this random jobber team. But it's more of an exhibition for all their cool moves that they can do. And it's effectively a bit of a babyface exhibition match. And it's just to show how cool Bate and Seven are together. Crowd really gets behind them. The cool offense. Yeah, the whole aim of this bit is to get the crowd on Seven and Bate's side. So it's like weird. You've got this Dunne dynamic who's obviously a heel and dangerous. But Bate and Seven, pretty nice blokes, it seems. They just all hang out together. But that's the three-dimensional side of it. I've got, I know groups of friends who have sort of got that dynamic. It makes it more interesting. So the following week after that, same again. But this time it's a singles match. And it's for Pete Dunne. So the jobber is up for it. But same again, just before the referee's about to start it, Seven's like, no, mate, get out of the ring. And they just have... So these are effectively like... They're not matches. They're unsanctioned matches that they're going through here. The jobber is up for it, despite Dunne being scary. But Dunne just brutalises him. Like, the jobber doesn't get anything in. And Dunne picks him apart and just stamps on joints and does all the nasty stuff. Like, it's uncomfortable. And Seven and Bate are at the side like... Oh, God. What can you do, What can you do? And Angle actually comes out and sends referees to break them up. And Trent and Bate go to stand in all the referees' ways and say, it's best if you let him finish. You're only going to hurt yourselves. So he's like, sorry, guys, this is the way it is. It's just like a new dynamic. And Angle looks like, I can't do anything. What the hell's going on here? The referees are sort of standing back. And Pete is just like looking at Angle, breaking every one of this jobber's fingers. As the commentator's like, going, this is sick, this is disgusting. Once all those fingers and the hands broken, Pete stands up, walks right past Angle, not even looking at him. Angle's like, what's gone on here? Trent and Bate follow him up the ramp. And at the top of the ramp, they'll kind of stop, and Trent's finally got a mic, and he says, you might have noticed we haven't had a proper match yet, lads. Now, that's because we're saving ourselves for the Royal Rumble. We'll tell you who we're facing soon enough. So later on that night in the main event, Roman Reigns is defending his Intercontinental title against someone, doesn't matter who. And it's a grueling match, and Roman Reigns hits the spear. He's just about to successfully defend it, goes to the cover, 1, 2, but the referee's pulled out. What's happened here? And it's Trent Seven. And Trent Seven just looks at Roman, just shrugs his shoulders after he's pulled out the referee. Reigns is angry and confused, but the crowd are reacting to something off camera. Now it's a shot behind Trent looking at Roman, who is standing behind Roman, but Pete Dunne with the Intercontinental title championship belt in his teeth, just hanging from his teeth, how he holds the UK title. And Reigns is just looking at this guy, and then Dunne starts to beat up Reigns. Then, the tag team champions by this point, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, run down to help their Shield brethren out. But the way this is shot, the camera is looking up the ramp, so we can see the backs of Bate and Seven and the Shield running down. Bate just casually walks over to the bit of the barricade that Dean and Seth can't see, because it's, there's a blind spot there. And Bate just picks up a chair that he's brought in with him, sort of keeps it there, waits for Dean to get close enough, whack! Takes out Dean right away, and then Bate and Seven take out Rollins. And, Trent finally says, after they beat down the Shield, we've decided our first match will be against the Shield at Royal Rumble for all the belts. So Intercontinental Championship and tag belts. In the following Raws building up to that, however many are left, Dunne, there's an angle where Dunne breaks all of Ambrose's fingers leading up to this because they're heel. And at the Royal Rumble 2018, Shield versus British Strong Style because of Ambrose's fingers and, British Strong Style taking it to them. They win all the belts at Royal Rumble. Pete Dunne's the Intercontinental Champion. Bate and Seven are the Tag Team Champions. And the Shield then go their separate ways in the Royal Rumble match.
Now, mine is slightly different in that mine takes place within a universe where Dunne is the UK Championship. And essentially, it follows the same as Pete Dunne's actual main roster debut. And the events that we've had recently where Roman has just won the IC Championship and is starting his IC Open Challenge series. Okay, so it's that Raw in the UK where Dunne makes his debut and he beats up Enzo. Slight difference where I'm rewriting history though is the following night on 205 Live, where Enzo cuts a promo about being beaten up by Pete Dunne the previous night, and then Dunne comes out again from the crowd and beats him up again, just leaves him laying. So we cut to then to, the following Raw, the following week. A furious Enzo comes out and he cuts another promo and says that because Dunne isn't contracted as to Raw as a cruiserweight, he can't attack him anymore. And he's basically just saying, like, you know what? It's fine. Like, he wants to try and beat me up, but he can't do it. He's not contracted to Raw. He's not a cruiserweight guy. He can't come out and hit me anymore. So I'm going to carry on my quest. I'm going to be the cruiserweight champion. I'm going to defeat Kalisto at Survivor Series, which, of course, he successfully does. But during the match, the commentators are putting over Pete Dunne. And this idea that Dunne could have come out from nowhere, maybe they're going to try and get Dunne to come over to Raw. And at NXT, as we've just seen this week, Dunne defeats Gargano and retains his United Kingdom Championship. But after that match, he cuts a promo saying that there's a loudmouth with bad hair on Raw who thinks he's a Cruiserweight champion. Well, let's see what happens when he steps to the Bruiserweight champion. So on Raw, Enzo, now really, really pissed off about all this, responds to this challenge because they show footage of it on Raw, and reminds us again that Dunne isn't contracted to Raw. He is not a Raw star. Angle comes out and says, well, actually, I've been negotiating with William Regal and Pete Dunne's management team to come to 205 Live, but Dunne's not agreeing to the terms that we're laying out. And Enzo he's kind of like a little bit insulted by this. He was like, well, what makes him so special that there's terms that he's not agreeing to? He wants to have a match with me, but there are terms that he doesn't want to agree to. Like, just agree to the terms, we can have this match. So he's really annoyed about this. Angle says, but I'd love to be able to talk about it, but I can't go into this detail now. But we're trying to get this match sorted. Enzo is obviously still annoyed, and he shouts at Kurt as Kurt is walking back up the ring. Who should come out from the crowd? It's only bloody Pete Dunne, isn't it? Pete Dunne gets up, bitter end, leaves him laying, runs out of the crowd once again. This next week on NXT, it's one of those press conference things that they do. Like, cause on NXT, they don't tend to do sort of backstage interviews. They do sort of like a gaggle of reporters are trying to get questions answered by the stars there. And in one of these press conference type segments, Regal reveals that Dunne's mystery management team are holding up the negotiations because of Dunne's UK Championship. And he says, I don't condone any of the actions that Pete Dunne has done on Raw attacking Enzo, and I don't know how he got in the building. But that's all I can tell you. Following Raw, Enzo comes out once again and he demands answers from Kurt Angle. Angle says he doesn't know who Dunne's management is, but they are holding up the deal. Enzo says he doesn't care. He said, you know what, I don't care about the UK Championship. If that's what's holding up this deal, we won't put that to one side. He can bring it with him if he wants, but for me, this is all about pride. This is me trying to protect my own pride. And as he's walking out of the ring, walking back up the ramp, Pete Dunne's music hits, but he doesn't come out. But Enzo's like looking around trying to find him. He's playing mind games, isn't he, old Pete Dunne? Cut to the following Raw. Angle comes out and he says negotiations are finally moving forward now that Pete Dunne doesn't have to vacate his United Kingdom Championship. And Enzo comes out and wants to know if he's getting this match with Dunne or not. Angle is about to answer when all of a sudden, from off screen, from backstage, someone on a microphone says, "Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman." Heyman comes out and reveals that he is Dunne's advocate. And I've done this because, as you have quite rightly pointed out this, or you didn't actually say it, Dunne isn't the world's greatest promo, so I feel like he needs a mouthpiece. Also, I needed someone that would be able to do the sort of negotiating on his behalf. And Paul Heyman cuts this promo on Enzo, saying that Enzo is a disrespect, and the disrespect he has brought upon the Cruiserweight Championship, bringing up names like Rey Mysterio, Jamie Noble, Chris Jericho, Jushin Thunder Liger. Those are real champions. You've done absolutely nothing with the belt but bring, like, just the worst kind of things. You are the worst of the Cruiserweight has to offer. He introduces the next Cruiserweight champion of the world, the Bruiserweight, Pete Dunne. So Dunne comes out again from the crowd and attacks Enzo from behind. So we're now at the Royal Rumble. And at the Royal Rumble, Pete Dunne beats Enzo Amore to become the Cruiserweight champion. So he's now both the Cruiserweight champion and the United Kingdom champion. So he can do that brilliant thing where he's got one of the titles in his mouth and he holds the other one in his hand while putting the mouth up there. It just looks brilliant. Pete Dunne just comes across like a complete badass because he's got Paul Heyman in his corner and he's a money guy and he's just only fighting for things. He wants titles. That's all he wants. That's his gimmick. So he's defending his Cruiserweight Championship, and he's also been defending his UK Championship on NXT TV and in 205 Live. So now we're at 2 weeks before WrestleMania, and it's Roman's Open Challenge. And Heyman comes out to a huge pop because they can already see where this is going. The title man, the Bruiserweight champion, is looking to accept another challenge. And he announces that Dunne didn't just sign a Cruiserweight Championship because of the UK Championship situation. So, technically, he's actually a Raw superstar and can challenge for any belt that he wants. Dunne comes out, they have an excellent match, loads of near falls, and in the end, Dunne spits on Roman, spits in his face. And Roman just gets really mad, and Dunne uses that against him to hit the bitter end and wins. And then you got all those photos on WWE.com of him with all three championship belts: the United Kingdom Championship, the IC Championship, and the Cruiserweight Championship. And all this is building up to, the big thing that they're building this around, is that at WrestleMania weekend, at NXT TakeOver New Orleans, Dunne will defend the UK Championship against Tyler Bate. At the Mania kickoff show, he's going to defend his Cruiserweight Championship against Mustafa Ali. And then on the main show, he will defend his IC Championship against Roman Reigns, the Bruiserweight Champion.
Who do you think booked it better? Click the eye that's just appeared above our heads to vote for either myself or Luke in the Pete Dunne fantasy booking. Holy moly, you pulled it out a bit at the end there.
Yeah, no, it's
pulled it out.
Well, I mean, I think the one thing I've got going. Enjoyed it so much.
Naughty Luke just knocked over Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I killed Steve because I'm so sweaty and it's really hot.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, what I really liked about Pete Dunne is that he is this kind of, as you had, this kind of silent assassin. And so you kind of need the mouthpiece. I mean, I thought, what a better mouthpiece than Paul Heyman. And my whole thing that I had in my mind was that, like, say, you have it in Progress a lot when he's just got loads of championship belts, and the way that he holds them, he's just got this real unique look about him. And that was kind of my end goal. And then I just really need to work out how to get there.
It's weird how much we incorporated their look, Pete Dunne's look, into our booking, because mine was all based around the 1930s East End gangster stuff, and yeah, yours was based around the look of him with all the belts. That's how good he is.
It's interesting as well. I nearly went with a British strong style thing, but I knew you would because of your love of trios.
I do love a trios championship. Well, you see, like, man, I thought I had it because, you had him in the Cruiserweight division. You had him cutting promos at the start. I was like, I don't really like Luke's booking at the moment. But as soon as you said Paul Heyman, like, it was great all the way through to the end.
Thanks, man.
And like that final bit of the three matches over the 2 days is really nice. That would be how would those results go? This is not part of the fantasy booking. I'm just curious.
Well, that's the thing, is because I was trying to think of that myself. I was like, I'd probably have him lose the UK Championship because that then gets him out of NXT.
Yeah.
So I'd probably have him lose that one, and I'd probably have him lose the Cruiserweight
as well, yeah.
But at the same time, the idea I really had in my mind, the image that I was really looking forward to, was at WrestleMania on the big stage, not on the kickoff show, not at NXT TakeOver, but was him with all three belts. But yeah, at the same time, it's probably better for him to lose those belts and just, because then you've just got him in that upper mid card Intercontinental Champion position without him being dragged down in the other divisions.
What, and then Reigns is going to face Lesnar as well?
Oh yeah, well obviously,
Yeah,
you know,
course.
because that's my whole fantasy booking is everyone's just playing double duty all night long.
Reigns, there's only like 5 people on the WrestleMania card, but there's 20 matches. Luke, I think that means Luke wanted Roman Reigns to be a dual champion at WrestleMania. Yeah. Remember that when you vote.
I particularly like your video packages. It reminds me of the stuff they did with Roderick Strong.
Yeah.
Of that sort of documentary series. I love that. I love the fact it's all in black and white. Although yours is very much, it's an East End gangster type thing. But you're like, and you kept saying like East End gangster. Yeah. But, up north.
Yeah, I just thought, because my mind thinks of East End, but they're all, but it's more of a, I just thought Guy Ritchie's a more translatable across the pond reference than Shane Meadows. But you should have watched Shane Meadows' films, they're great.
Dead Man's Shoes is a fantastic film.
Yeah, they're all really, really good. But yes, that's all we've got time for. That was fun. I think we both pulled out our A-game.
It was Pete fun.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. That's the crap gimmick roster. Pete Dunne playing Pete Fun.
Pete Fun. I like to think that everyone was going to vote for me until I said that. I was like, oh no, that's it. Change my mind.
Go back into that part, unvote. But yes, click the videos that have just appeared over Luke's face to catch up with the latest WrestleRamble or WrestleTalk news. Subscribe to this channel to never miss an episode, and subscribe to this podcast on your chosen podcast provider. Support WrestleTalk on Patreon and order issue 1 of the WrestleTalk magazine now. This has been Luke Owen. I've been Oli Davis, and that was Rambling.